Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we thought we'd give you another 5 movies to watch on Netflix right now.
Yes, horror as well. None of the boring
Oh,
shit. Not
well,
Amelia Perez.
people are here for one thing, Jenks, horror.
Although apparently Amelia Perez is a bit horrifying.
From penis to vagina.
I'll never
Eh,
watch it. I'll never watch
no,
it.
no, definitely not. We could hate watch it together, maybe.
Maybe.
So first up, I love this movie. It's the Babadook. Came out 2014 by Jennifer Kent. Um, it was a tough sell, this film, when it came out, because it was kind of marketed as horror, because you're a really fucking cool monster in there with a black hat. And it was more of a thriller with an edge to supernatural sort of element. So I think a lot of horror fans were annoyed that it wasn't horrifying enough, and a lot of thriller fans thought, I don't like monsters. But its basic premise is the mother is traumatized by the death of her husband. She got a problematic child. He's not sleeping. He's misbehaving. She's not sleeping because of it. And this kind of, she gets this book called The Babadook, and it has this creature in it with a black hat. It's such a good creature design. And she's getting stalked every night by this thing. You don't know if it's real. You don't know if it's part of her stress from not sleeping, but it is one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen. And I like thrillers and I like horror, and I love when they marry the two. But I almost wish that this wasn't a thriller, because you could have a sequel to this film, but it's not that type of film. The Babadook is kind of own one and done kind of movie. So you're never going to get something like Jason versus the Babadook, which I would fucking watch, and you would. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm not a big fan of this film.
What?
You know I'm not a
I
big fan
know,
of
I'm
this film.
joking.
You know. Um,
Bastard.
I thought it was ultra boring the first time I seen it. I've never gone back to it. I probably should at some point. But like you mentioned, Jenks, about it being advertised as this horror movie. Now,
Yeah.
I don't mind psychological movies. I don't mind that it wasn't as straight up as the trailer led you to believe. Um, that wasn't my biggest gripe with the movie. It was just the fact that I feel like they wasted a really iconic monster on some sort of message that they wanted to get across in the film.
Yeah.
And once I kind of got my head around that, kind of took me out of the film. It's just a film I've never gone back to watch again. It's kind of not on my radar at all. But
Yeah.
I know you love that one.
I love it.
You haven't got the poster up anymore.
Right.
Drop down a bit, is it?
Look, there's a limited space behind me. Okay. Don't judge me.
So something had to go, and it was the Babadook. It makes sense, Jenks. It
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
No, watch it.
Um, so my first pick, we're going back to 1998, and I've got Urban Legend. And the reason I've picked this one is because around that time, when I was younger, I kind of looked down on all these movies. I know what you did last summer, Urban Legend, as cheap slasher movies. Now, I grew up being obsessed with the 80s, and you had the big icons that came from that era. And I didn't care about these movies. I'd seen them, didn't care about them. And with the resurgence of slasher movies as of late, I've gone back and rewatched all these
Yeah.
movies, Urban Legend, I know you did last summer, and Cherry Falls, some of the 90s, early 2000s slashers. And with the nostalgia of it, like looking back for nostalgic purposes, it's an absolute cracking film. I had a hell of a good time with it. It's got a great 90s cast. You've got Mike
Yeah.
Rosenbaum, Jared Leto, Gay Hart, Tara Reid. Robert Englund has a cameo in it as one of the professors. And it's cheesy, don't get me wrong. You know what you're going to get when you watch this movie, but it's a really good classic slasher. I don't even think I have to say the plot, Jenks. It's a group of college students, and they're all being picked off one by one in their university dorms. And it's just, I had such a great time with this film. I watched it and I went, this is the first one I watched, and I just went and rewatched them all. And it was such a great throwback because I didn't appreciate the time I was living in at the time. But it's nice to go back now and get
Yeah.
that appreciation for these films. And it has got one of the greatest openings of all time. You've got Brad Dourif when she pulls up in that terrifying gas station in the middle of nowhere, and he's kind of got a stutter, and he's trying to tell her that there's someone in her back seat.
Oh
But
yes.
But because he looks terrifying, it's raining, he looks horrible, it's in a scary location. She just wants to get away from this guy, and he's trying to get it out, but he can't get past his stutter. And then as the car drives off, he gets it out. There's someone in the back seat.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this that opening adds stars onto this movie. Now, not many movies can say that. You can watch this movie and be happy with the opening, and the rest of the film seems a little bit better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I had a massively fun time with this one.
I did like it at the time, but you're right. It was kind of swallowed up as a poor man's scream.
Yeah, yeah.
And same as Cherry Falls, I didn't mind that, but again, it was a poor man's scream, a poor man's. I know he did last summer, but it has got a good premise. It's different. I think I saw the sequel. I definitely haven't seen the third one where,
Bloody
uh,
Mary.
yeah, which I think is supernatural. That one is it, or
I've never seen it, but it's
looks
got
like it
Bloody
is.
Mary in there. So I don't know if a killer is dressed up as Bloody Mary. I don't know.
I don't know. Probably, yeah. I don't think many
But
people seen it.
I love the urban legend aspect of it. Like this killer is killing people based on urban legends, and there's
Yeah.
some urban legends that I've seen in other movies but played out more.
Yeah, yeah. No, I forgot about that opening scene. It is a cracker. I
Oh my
haven't
god, it's
seen
so
this
good.
film since it came out in, was it 99 or something?
98.
98, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good pick. Right. My next one, I love this movie. Okay. I absolutely love it. It's called It Follows. It came out 2014 and it stars Micah Monroe. She has become a bit of a scream queen. She's
A
popping up
bit.
a bit.
She's a
Yeah, she's
bona fide scream queen.
she's amazing. She's in so many. You're right. Actually, the vast majority of her career now, apart from Independence Day 2.
Well, sci-fi horror, you know.
It is a horrifying film, but for different reasons. It's a piece of shit. Anyway, she's in this. It's one of her earliest films. It's the basic premise is she's cursed by this, but she gets passed. It gets passed on from her boyfriend. She gets cursed, and this thing will follow her to the ends of the earth.
Can
It can
we can we
what?
not brush past the fact that it's an STD curse? It's passed on through sex.
Yes, okay. It gets passed on. She is cursed, and there's this sort of it's a demon. It can take the form of anything. Old people, this horrifying tall man, which is one of the most horrendously scary things I've ever seen ever in modern sort of horror. Um, and the only way to get rid of the curse is to pass it on to somebody else. That's basically the premise. It is terrifying. It's set in its own sort of time, so it looks like the past, but you've got modern technology. The music is really eerie and bizarre. I love this film, and you know what? There's a sequel due out called They Follow. I hope it comes out. It's no trailer yet, but you never know. It could be a bit lost in history. But I would highly recommend this film if you haven't seen it. It is like a modern day A Nightmare on Elm Street. Highly
Yeah,
recommend it.
I agree with you, Jenks. I think It Follows is an absolute masterpiece. I
Yeah.
remember it coming out, and I feel like this was the first wave of new horror. I remember watching it and thinking, "Oh my god, how fresh is this movie? I'd never seen anything like it." You
Yeah.
may correct me in the comments, guys. I'm not saying this was the first movie to do it like this, but it was the first time I'd gone to cinema and I was blown away. Like, this is horror now.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. I remember going and buying the soundtrack, Jenks, because I couldn't
Yeah.
get that sound out of my head. And yeah, this has been in my constant watch circle for a long time. But I do like to take breaks from this one because of the tone of the movie. It's not one you can chuck on every
No.
Friday night, but it is one I've gone back to a fair few times. Fantastic pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, my next pick, I've got 2019's Ready or Not from Radio Silence. This one sums the directors up
Yeah.
perfectly. I feel like they've kind of become auteurs. All their films feel the same. They've got their own look, and this film is no different. I absolutely love this movie. Basic premise: it's one of the best elevator pitches you can give. If you were in an elevator with someone and you pitched this, they would sell it instantly because
Yeah.
it's an easy one to follow. You've got Samara Weaving, and on the night of her wedding, the eccentric family that she marries into drop a massive bombshell on her. So they all sit around the table and they say, "Is it every time someone is married, Jenks?"
Yes,
They play a game.
a new person comes into the family.
Yeah, okay. So every time a new person comes into the family, they like to play a game and it's potluck. So you do this thing and the game comes out with a card. She pulls hide and seek. And so she pulls hide and seek, and you think, oh, what's wrong with a little game of hide and seek? The only problem is that everyone in the family is trying to kill her.
Yeah,
So the whole film is based over this one night. She's in this massive mansion, this big eccentric mansion, and she's got the whole family trying to kill her, including her new husband. And if she survives the night, I mean, if she survives the night, what happens, Jenks, if she's killed all the family? Does she get to stay in the family if there's one left? Or congratulations, you're now part of the family. Your husband's dead, my parents are dead, but
yeah,
welcome to the family. This is now all yours.
yeah.
I don't think it truly explains that.
Doesn't
I
need to.
may no, it doesn't need to, Jenks.
Nah,
I'm
it's
not
not that type
like
of
that's
film.
not a it's not a dig. It's just something that I thought about while watching it. What happens if she wins, which she does. But
Oh,
this
spoiler!
is shut up. This is ultra fun. Samara
Yeah,
Weaving is such a great final girl in this. There's so many standout scenes. It's ultra violent. There's some proper off the wall scenes as well.
yeah,
I really like these guys. You've got a duo director, Radio Silence. They did Abigail. They've done some Screams. I'm
yeah.
really excited about these guys, and
Yeah.
this is an absolute must watch. There's a sequel coming out. I have no idea what the plot's going to be because of how the first film goes, but we
Yeah.
are getting a sequel, and Samara Weaving is attached to return.
Samara Weaving, like Micah Monroe, has become a scream queen as well. She's
Oh
clocked up
God, yeah.
loads of horror, and she's
She's
got
in Ash versus Evil Dead.
yes, she's like a
Very early in her
hiker.
career, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah.
She's proper Aussie. She looks like an Aussie, doesn't she? She's the niece of Hugo Weaver.
Hugo
Uh,
Weaving, yeah.
yeah, Hugo Weaving. Sorry.
Yeah, you can kind of tell.
Yeah, oh yeah, I love this film. I love it. I love Abigail as well. It's really very similar in tone.
Yeah.
I would jump on anything that Radio Silence do because I enjoy the last two Screams they did. Not so much 6, but it wasn't
Yeah, yeah, I
bad, just
agree.
not as good as 5. Yeah. Right. Last pick. We shared pick. We always do this, and it's Cabin in the Woods. Came out 2011, and it is absolutely incredible. Now, when it first came out, and when it was first pitched, it was called Cabin in the Woods. It's got an Evil Dead cabin in the woods. I just thought, is this the most unoriginal movie ever? And I couldn't have been more wrong. Starts off very simple. You got a group of teens going to a cabin. You got a jock played by Chris Hemsworth, and all hell breaks loose. But the great thing about it is that it is one of the most original films ever. It's meant to be like played on the nose with like, oh, it's a cabin in the woods and it's horror. It's like, no, I'm not going to spoil it because if you haven't seen it, it'll blow you away. And I love it so much. I've got a poster up.
Yes.
I don't know where Babadook's gone.
Um, as much as I want to talk about what happens in this movie
Yeah,
and plot points, I think it is a really good idea not to say because there may be some people out
yeah,
there that
definitely.
haven't seen it. I mean, it wasn't a big hit when it came out,
It's
and
underrated.
it's yes, it's gained a following, but it's still a movie that I recommend to people and they haven't seen it.
Yeah,
But yeah, when a certain something gets revealed halfway through this film, it is mind blowing and it sets up some of the most insane scenes I have seen in cinema. And
yeah,
like you said, Jenks, about it being the most unoriginal film ever, I watched this about 2 or 3 years late. So when it came out in 2011, I seen the trailer, the poster, and the title, and I thought, I can't be asked. I
yeah,
cannot be asked for a movie called The Cabin in the Woods, the most unoriginal title ever.
yeah,
But
100%.
that's kind of exactly what they wanted. You'll understand what we mean if you haven't seen it
Yeah,
and when you watch it. But I think it was 2 or 3 years after it come out, and a clip had come up online of something that happens at the end when you've got a massive array of characters,
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh my god, what's this film?" Looked it up, Cabin in the Woods. I chucked it straight on, and I fell in love with it. It's an absolute top class film.
Yeah, and it even though like a lot of people, there's a lot of love for this film, it is kind of underrated. But I remember watching it in the cinema, and on that last sequence of the third act, when the shit hits the fan, that's all I'm going to say. I just think it's probably one of the greatest third acts in any movie, not just horror. It's mind blowing, like without a
Oh,
doubt.
I agree with you, especially if you're a fan of horror and you understand references.
Yeah,
There's so much in there where you're going to be pointing at the screen
yeah,
because it is nostalgia overload.
yeah,
That's all I'll say about the final scene, the third
yeah.
act.
Yes. Right. That's our picks. Check them out on Netflix. If you love horror, if you love ranking, please subscribe and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.